My first guest tonight's one of the true originals of daytime talk shows because he did a lot of innovative things. I think he was the first guy to introduce controversy to daytime talk, seen in over 200 U.S. cities. He did a talk show in Russia for a while, which we'll get into a little bit. He co-hosts a show called Posner Donahue, even put himself in second position on our sister network, CNBC. And I'm happy to welcome an old friend, Phil Donahue. Phil.
Hey, Roger.
Great to see you.
I see you.
I was on your show in 1969. I was hunting for that clip today. We both look so different. I probably ran right by it. I couldn't find it. But, Phil, I don't agree with anything you believe in politically, and I want to know why I like you so much personally. It's you know, I've known you for, what, 25, 30 years. And you and I have always gotten along great, and I don't think we agree on anything, do we? I mean, not much.
It's hard to believe that we're missing each other that much.
We grew up 60 miles away from each other. You were born in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Warren, Ohio, a little to the south of there.
Yes, Northern Ohio's my
Me
place,
too.
Always will be, not far from Youngstown. And
Your dad was a working man, sold furniture, I think. My dad was a factory foreman. If mothers are out there looking at their children running around the house today saying, you know, when he grows up, I want him to be Phil Donahue, what would your mother have seen in you that said this guy's going to be a major television star when he grows up? What
Nothing.
Would you like? Nothing?
Not a thing, no. First of all, you know, for a long time I wasn't sure what I did. I wasn't a ventriloquist. I didn't
You were a news guy. You started as news, right?
I did. I was the guy, you know,
Right.
what it looked like when you got here, Chief. You know, and you'd see the building collapsing in flames. And he said, it looked like a fire, dummy. What do you think? And that's where I really got excited. I had already graduated from college, and I realized that I could stop people cold. The mayor, with just a little Norelco tape recorder, audio tape recorder.
It's a lot of power.
Excuse me, Mayor. And bam, they'd stop. And I must have looked 14 years old. And I couldn't believe the power that I was wielding here.
Wow.
So maybe that's why I'm here, a little power trip with the news.
Well, let me ask you, you grew up a Catholic, Jesuit training or?
No, Holy Cross.
Holy Cross, Notre Dame.
St. Joseph nuns and then Notre Dame, yeah.
Did the nuns wrap your knuckles?
I got hit more by male religious than female, than
Really?
women religious, yes. I don't recall any nun. I got certainly a lot of this. And
Right.
cast your eyes down when I'm speaking to you, boy.
Oh, really?
Yes. And you learn deference and respect. I have been belted in front of the whole class by men, you know, for talking or... I never was a felon, you know. I never was up in a capital case, but I certainly was.
Did your parents spank you?
No, not in that kind of ritualistic way.
They give you a little pat on the
Uh-huh. And I used to, you know...
You pop your kids a little once in a while?
and I'm sorry I did. I truly am. I think it's...
Did it hurt them? Do they still love you?
Oh, they're fine. Yes, they do. But I still... the problem is, you know, if you've had a couple of beers, I think there's a lot of households out there where you cross the line and you're angry. And most of us, when we hit our kids, are angry. And I think that has to be monitored. It's not a very popular position, though. Everybody... We use the Bible to promote spanking. I mean, we pass it from generation to generation.
What did Catholicism do for you, and what did it do to you?
Well, first of all, I got a wonderful education from both nuns and Holy Cross brothers and priests at Notre Dame who worked for slave wages. Obviously, greed was not their sin, and they truly had a vocation to teach, to educate, to help imbue young Catholics with character. I had a terribly stable childhood. I grew up in a Norman Rockwell kind of neighborhood. It certainly was all white, no question. It was in the city of Cleveland. It was middle class. The church was the center of our life. And I felt I was blessed in that I got to go to Notre Dame. I think that's a big deal. I was very lucky. I don't know whether I'd get in today. This would be 1953 to 1957. I was a student at the University of Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana.
Were you different? Were you quieter, less feisty, less? I mean, you're now known as sort of this guy who's out there taking on the causes and fighting the battles.
I didn't know what.
When did that line cross? When in your life?
I'm not sure. I think, first of all, I came late to the realization that the Vietnam War, was a bad idea. And then then we were going to build a church in the suburbs, and the cities were blowing up, and
I went through that. The riots.
Bags.
I was in the '64 riots in Cleveland. And
right, and this is also the time when Clinton was dealing with his own conscience, and the difference, of course, was that I was not of draft age at this time.
Would you have gone? Would you have fought? And would you have shot?
It depends on what year I was drafted.
Really?
Yeah. Remember, I came out of the 50s where Americans won everything.
Yeah.
And when we graduated from Notre Dame in 1957, nobody told us we'd lose a war. Nobody told us they'd shoot our president. Nobody told us that the Japanese would build a better car.
Did that disillusion you about America?
It was my first exposure to the possibility that the land of the free may not, in all its foreign policy decisions, be divinely inspired. This was a tremendously difficult and painful awareness to have finally arrived at, and I got there late.
Let me go back up. What did Catholicism do to you? In other words, it did a lot of good things for you. What did it do to you? Because you seem still a little angry at some of them.
Well, I want to talk about that. If you criticize the Catholic Church, you're angry, you know? If you criticize the government, you have an interest in civic affairs. If you criticize the church, you have a hang-up. People bring an ad hominem argument to anybody who would dare criticize the Catholic Church. I think that's one of the reasons the papacy is so removed from so many millions of faithful today. I believe the Pope should be exposed to the same checks and balances as any other powerful world figure.
You see no divine being there. He's just another guy got a job.
I not only don't see a divine being, I see a man who is anchored in the past. I feel that the Catholic Church's continuing promulgation of a tenet which says that you cannot use condoms in an age of AIDS is irresponsible.
You think it's okay to pass out condoms to school kids? You think that's a good idea? You think?
Well, when you say pass out condoms to school kids, you give it the old
well, no, they do. Don't they do
spin.
that? No, well, they do, don't they?
I think what you do is there are some high schools where you can go to get them. Yes,
there are junior high schools where you
think an opportunity to get a condom is a lot better than getting AIDS.
You don't think it encourages
some girl
the behavior?
pregnant at 16 or 17 years old? No, I don't think it encourages the behavior.
Like when summer vacation comes, you think we should give them like a 3-month supply and say good luck, on the last day?
You know, we used to tell jokes about that little ring in your wallet. Remember that? That was kind of a charming.
Well, we had to go to the gas. We had to go to the gas station in Ohio.
Why was it a kind of nice home heartland Warren, Ohio thing for you?
No, it was 18, 19 years old. I mean, about that time. Really? Not 14, not 13.
Yeah. Well, if you think that failure to pass out condoms is going to arrest the...
I'm just asking the questions. I don't know, but I'm saying that...
Condoms don't frighten me.
Right, okay.
14-year-old mothers do, and so does what's out there. A lot of bugs. Separate from AIDS, you've got every other communicable disease imaginable out there, and too many young people.
You look very healthy, but if you were to drop dead tomorrow and go through the pearly gates and they announce your name, Phil Donahue, and St. Peter said, do you believe in God and do you believe in heaven, or what do you think about that? Let me just get that first.
Well, if St. Peter comes out and asks me, well, I'm standing at the gate, and he says, you believe in God, I mean, I'm no...
You're no
mother
fool,
raised
right?
no fool. Obviously, I'm going to say...
but if he says, Phil Donahue, you've lived your life, tell me what you've done that's good. What have you contributed?
I'd say, oh, Peter, please don't oblige me to be this vain. And if you don't know, maybe you're not the powerful, all-seeing
he's just the gatekeeper. The guy's up there got a list.
He's our first pope.
He's up there with a list.
Yes.
No,
I certainly think, atheists can be as arrogant as many Christians. Mm-hmm. I don't think an atheist can say, I absolutely know there is no God, and then laugh at someone who absolutely knows there is. If you want to get technical about it, maybe the only honest position is agnosticism. My own case is that I am terribly impressed with what's going on here. I mean, holy cow, this universe thing, wow.
Yeah, I mean, somebody had...
And also Darwin...
Doesn't look as random as it...
And Darwin theory, I think, has a divine signature about it. Darwin flatters God. So it's hard for me to believe that this is all an accident. But I no longer think of God as a Santa Claus or a policeman who's up there. If I bless myself, I'll make a foul shot. Or if, he's watching me in effect saying, you better adore me, pal, or I'll show you what trouble really is.
What about sin?
Sort of
is there sin?
Certainly there is. Certainly there is.
But it's up to us to decide what it is? Or?
Well, I think we're going to have a lot help. I think, first of all, I'm proud to live in a country that allows us to worship anything, and also does not deny us citizenship if we choose to worship nothing. This is the kind of country I want to live in. I feel very blessed to have been, by accident of birth, born here.
Well, we're blessed to have Phil Donahue here tonight. I know some of you conservatives are saying, Ailes, why don't you go after this guy? Well, Phil and I have known each other a long time.
My question.
That's
too.
right. He's waiting.
Valentine.
Anyway, no, listen, I've wanted to know these. No, these are questions I want to know about you.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back right after these messages.
As the hour wore on, we realized we were having our first date in front of several million people, but nobody else did.
You are really fascinating. And
No, but you are wonderful. I said it when we were off there, and I want to say you are loving and generous, and you like women, and it's a pleasure. And whoever is the woman in your life is very lucky.
That was Phil the day before a haircut back in 1977. When's the last time she said that to you? I mean, marriage kind of changes things. Huh?
It does. We were married in 1980.
Right.
So I'm married about 3 years.
Let me ask you a question. How often does she cook?
As a matter of fact, she cooked this weekend.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. Can you like?
Her mother's a Sicilian, so
oh,
she
well,
better
that's right.
cook,
So it's there. All right. But she's a feminist. You're a feminist. What do you argue about? I mean, you just sort of say yes.
She's a lot less patient with celebrity press and.
Really?
Yeah, she's really.
Can you say, "Hey, Marlo, grab a beer out of the refrigerator for me," and she'll go get one for you,
sure.
or is that? It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
like
No,
it's not like get Erica Jung on the phone.
I don't. If we're both sitting there, I don't order her up. But if she's in, while you're up,
would you get me a beer?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
So, yes.
You live in Connecticut?
Well, we have a place there. Yes.
Yes. And you live in New York City?
Yes.
And you have a boat?
I do.
Where's your boat?
I keep my boat in Connecticut. It's a stink pot.
Big boat?
It's 42-foot motor
Oh, that's
vessel.
a nice boat.
Well, I can do it myself. So
That's right. You don't need a captain.
I'm stretched out, high tech as much high tech as I can handle with a radar, an autopilot,
What was the first time you realized you're rich? You made it. They can't ever take it away from you. You got it now. You're home free. Because we all go through that. When we were kids back in Ohio, we'd say, if I could make $10,000 a year, $12,000 a year, man, I'm going to be home free.
Yeah.
Our fathers probably made $6,000 or $7,000, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Big year.
That's very close to my father's income. It was retail
same
furniture.
Same as mine, yeah. Big year for him.
Right.
I thought, boy, if I could top that and make $12,000 a year sometime.
Well, I went to school with a kid whose parents owned a bakery, and he ate Oreo cookies. There was. I think the middle class is always in your heart.
Yeah. That's right.
Rich, I think I first began to notice first class in an airplane.
Yeah, right.
Regularly.
Right.
And
you go into a hotel suite. The first time they book you in, you got a suite, not just a room.
And a basket of fruit.
Oh, that's it. Or the bottle of wine from the manager, Mr. Donahue.
Yeah. Gee. When people talk about the celebrities and the so on and the removing from reality, that's true.
If you lost it all tomorrow, I mean really lost it, just you're bad and gone, and your show got canceled, what would it do to you? What would you be like? How would you feel?
I wonder. I don't know if there's any way to really put myself in that situation. After 28 years, and we're coming up on 7,000 shows. So I'm proud to say the Donahues work for a living and always have. And so, I've always, like most of the guys that I ever drank beer with, I've
figured you could always get out there and do it.
I pump gas to feed the kids. I mean, my kids are all.
Does that bug you about people on welfare who won't pump gas to feed their kids?
No, what bugs me is this drumbeat of conservative, outspoken voices who see welfare as bringing America down. What's bringing America down is the B-1 bomber, which we never should have built. At $400 million a copy, 96 of them are left. They're sitting on a runway in Kansas and Texas because of John Tower and Bob Dole and B-1 Bob Dornan. Orange County, Carter canceled it. We never should have built it. The plane did not.
What about Orange County?
That's where it was built.
Oh, I see.
And it infused in this. Let me just make the point.
But maybe the military buildup caused Russia to collapse.
Oh, sure, we scared them. We scared them to. We got this
did.
B-1
We forced them
bomber.
to spend money on Star Wars.
And in the process, we spent ourselves into a $4 trillion debt that is threatening our children and has not made us safer.
And Congress passes the budget bills, and the House of Representatives, controlled by the liberals for 40 years, could have done something about it any time they wanted to.
I think that.
But they were busy passing laws they didn't want to live under.
Well, Jimmy Carter worked, as I said, Jimmy Carter canceled the B-1. I mentioned the B-1 bomber because it happens to be a program I know something about. This weapon system did not go to the Persian Gulf War. It is not going to any war. No sane parent should send their son or daughter to war in the B-1 bomber. It doesn't work. It doesn't fly as high. It's not as much stealth as was promised. It has the aerodynamic capability.
Can you understand an American who says if we spend too much money on a weapon system?
But the point is, and here you guys are yelling about welfare.
No, wait a minute. No, wait. I'm not yelling about welfare. Don't say you guys. Don't do your Mario Cuomo. You're like Mario Cuomo. Mario Cuomo. You say to Mario Cuomo, Mario, you know, we ought to look at the budget numbers and welfare. He'll say, of course you want to throw widows out on Christmas Eve. I mean, he's a great demagogue. He'd always put you in a box. He'd make you morally indefensible.
We're going to take teenage mothers off of FDC because we want to have Star Wars.
Can you understand an American who says, if we spend too much money on a weapon system, we can lose some money? If we don't spend enough on a weapon system, we can lose America.
No, I can't.
You cannot.
I think we have what we've done.
How did we get here? Do you think we ever had to fight in our history to get where we are today, and give you the freedom you have?
Yes, but we certainly, it does not follow, Roger, that therefore...
Did we have to fight?
Yes, we have to fight, and we'll probably have to fight again.
Right.
It does not mean that we're going to add to our $4 trillion. You don't fight anymore with black boxes and from 60,000 feet dropping bombs on people. That's not the brave thing to do.
Well, what should we cut back?
Well, first of all...
How do we get the budget in line? Just raise more taxes? Because guys like you can afford them?
No, first of all...
And me, I guess.
I think we have to...
I got to take a break, Phil. Sorry. Thanks.
Let's not
we'll come
promise
right back
to increase defense spending. How about that?
I agree.
Don't increase.
That's fine.
Don't increase.
I agree with that. I don't think we should.
It's in the contract for America. How can you agree with that? Do they know this, that you don't agree with it?
I don't agree with everything those guys do. Never did. Okay, we're right back with Phil Donahue.
Would you imitate John Wayne? Just one line. Just one. Well, all right, Pilgrim.
We're back with an original Phil Donahue. What's your boiling point, scale 1 to 10? You went to pop a guy in an airport one time. Was that just a bad day, or do you have a flash point where you get...
Oh, well, that was a little different. I mean, that was a loudmouth...
Some guy loudmouthed you in an airport?
Yeah, it was very loud and very profane, and I don't know, maybe I was.
I
was with my wife. She was going to Boston to get a Peace Award, and here I am, you know. I wound up in jail at LaGuardia Airport.
Are you kidding?
Mm-mm.
They cuff you?
Yes. They didn't cuff me and took a lot of heat because they cuffed him and they didn't cuff me, so.
And you were the guy going to punch him? Did you hit him?
Yeah, it was like a hockey fight. You know, we got into it, you know. I had my glasses.
I've been in a few of those.
Well, I'm not proud of that. I don't think necessarily, you know, it's just a wise.
Wasn't a good idea.
Well, no, for among other things. I don't know what this guy's got in his back pocket. I mean, you know.
Was he a conservative?
He was a LaRouche.
Oh, one of those nuts.
Yeah.
Well. Okay, we got a call from Colorado. James, you're on the line with Phil Donahue.
Hi, Mr. Donahue, you said on a show about capital punishment that capital punishment doesn't work. And I wanted to correct you that capital punishment does work only if it's implemented in a swift and sure way. I would like to get your comments on that, please, and thank you.
Well, it clearly works. They're dead. But, I mean, the question is, what's your mission?
Well, first of all, as you know.
Does it help society is the issue, right?
I mean, I don't think so. Not only that, it's much more expensive than life in prison without parole. Much more expensive.
Why? Because of the appeal process, not because of the...
Right.
I mean, if they had 2 appeals... I mean, once they...
What kind of country do you want? I mean...
well, I don't know.
I just had 2 guys on the Donahue show, one of whom was within 15 hours of execution. He's a free man. New evidence. There's a, you know, when we're this angry, there are 400 people on death row in Texas alone. Texas. When we're this angry, we make mistakes. And we have a lot of juries listening to the testimony of one person. I was there, Roger. I was in the bar. I saw him sitting at the bar stool. I saw him, and boom, you're on death row. You have no money. You may or may not get a pro bono lawyer who cares and is going to fight for you, and you're going to die. And we can only speculate on how many innocent people.
So to you, it's not a moral issue of we should not kill because the Bible says we should not kill?
Well, you know, I certainly think, I think there's a moral issue when the state takes it upon itself to exact this kind of violence against its own citizenry. I don't think this is becoming. This is about vengeance. Let's at least be honest about
Well, Mario
it. We're
Cuomo says
angry.
it's much more painful to spend your life in prison. That sounds like vengeance. If you really want to hurt the guy, then you put him in there for prison. In a
Well,
box,
I think that's true, and I think it's Mario Cuomo's way of saying, look, because I'm against capital punishment does not mean I think these guys should be playing tennis all day, 7 days a week. I believe that punishment is an appropriate thing. I just don't think the state should kill. Incidentally, God bless Nightline for what it did at Huntsville the last 2 nights, and I know I have your best wishes in our attempt to televise an execution, which I think is a First Amendment issue. I don't think we should be turning our back on it, and we're looking for some influential people in our industry to get with us and fight for the right to televise.
The liberals like you think that by televising the execution, it's going to horrify America, and they're not going to want them. You're going to get people out there saying, "Hey, let's do it again." I mean, they're going to think it's a game show.
They are? Who's they?
Huh?
How come Ted Koppel can watch an execution and we can't, and the citizens can't?
I'm not opposed to watching executions. I have no problem.
How do you feel about putting them on television?
I don't have any problem with that.
Good for you.
I have no problem with it.
Good.
If you're going to do something in society, go ahead and do it.
Well, I just spent over $100,000 of my company's money for the right to televise a program, which incidentally
but Phil, they're going to say
sponsor.
you're after ratings.
Nobody will sponsor.
But you want ratings.
Let's presume I'm.
Well,
let's presume I do. Presume I do.
You want ratings.
What's the point? Therefore, because I am falsely motivated, we shouldn't do this? How about if PBS
What is your reason for wanting to put it on television? To horrify the American people, right?
I want to put it on television for the same reason NBC News put the death of a downhill skier, a woman skier at Lillehammer, hit an immovable object, and millions of Americans watched her die. How come we can put that on television, and suddenly when it comes to a matter of public money, public mandate, the business of the people, we suddenly get very pious? Why do we show people being executed in a convenience store security camera routinely on television? We watch John F. Kennedy's head blown off every November 22nd.
So what you're saying is
yet when it comes to the death that we mandate, no, it's awful, our children will...
I don't have any issue with you here. So you're
I'm glad to have you on my side.
I have no issue here. I mean,
I expect you to file an advocacy.
No, I won't do that because I'm not going to help your ratings there. If you do it on CNBC, we'll have to talk about it.
Well, first of all, let's understand this. Nobody's going to sponsor this program, so there's nobody. We're not going to make any money on
Where did you get so enamored with communism? I mean, you got your buddy Posner over. He's a good guy, by the way. I had dinner with him. He's a wonderful guy, and he's much further to the right than you, I think. But because he's wearing very expensive suits. I mean, you're kind of a little rumpled like me, but he's like very, he's gourmet.
That puts him in the majority. Most men dress better than I do. Enamored with communism. I don't know. What's a story to you? The Cold War? I mean, I grew up praying for the conversion of communism. Now I'm a part.
Are you happy it sort of died out over there, or as a?
I'm certainly happy the Cold War is over, and we don't need Star Wars.
Do you think communism was a good philosophy?
I think communism was a wonderful idea that obviously didn't translate itself very well. In
other words, they did it wrong, but it would have been a good thing.
First of all, I'm not afraid of an idea.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just asking.
And so anybody wants to stand up and say for each according to his need, according to
right.
I'm not going to
given
get
a choice of
and
communism or capitalism, which do you like best?
I've done very well in capitalism.
So you would not turn your back on that, yeah?
No, I wouldn't. But I'm not afraid of the idea. The socialist idea ought to at least be something we're allowed to debate in this country without being dismissed as...
No, but the whole world's tried it and it's failed.
Well, the whole world is certainly Stalin failed in his own secret brutality, and I don't know anybody who's going to necessarily celebrate the kind of communism that we find in China. But they want to know when was the last time you tried to manage 1 billion people. So it's complicated, to be sure. I think there's a lot of sin to go around. What upsets me is our own righteousness, and in the land of the free, we're so frightened by ideas. And
you really think that? We're a pretty open society today, aren't we?
We blacklisted people. We ruined an entire generation.
That was years ago.
Years ago in my lifetime. It was my high school.
But they're not doing it to you today. We got over that. We were also I had a minister on the other night from Harlem, and you and I both saw the separate drinking fountains when we were kids, separate bathrooms.
Yes.
I mean, they are gone. There is progress.
Yes, there is. And I remember when those long-haired hippies come on the Donahue show in the 60s and say, they were protesting the war, and they were saying, the FBI's infiltrated us, they're spying on us. And I said, oh, please, don't be so paranoid, you're messianic, you're taking yourself too seriously. It happened. Tomorrow night on Posner and Donahue, William Kunstler is going to say that the reason Miss Shabazz, Malcolm X's daughter, has been set up is because we still have government people who are terrified of Minister Farrakhan, who can fill Yankee Stadium.
But Kunstler is a social ambulance chaser of the worst order. I mean, this guy is you know, I mean, give me a break.
What do you mean worst order?
Well, I mean, this guy is just...
You don't like his defendants.
No, I don't have any problem with him defending those people. I just think he jumps in front. He has no idea about Shabazz or any of those people. I talked to a black minister the other night who knows more about it. And
you certainly doesn't know anything about this, do you? No, I mean,
I don't
he doesn't come.
I don't know.
That's a barroom generality, Roger.
Look, he's a show business lawyer. You know what's going on with O.J. Simpson right now. It's all show business. This is great for lawyers' careers. I mean, they're going to get him out just so he can, you know, get free. And the next big murder case, this is all about show business.
You think so?
Don't you? You don't even have any doubt in your mind about that one.
Because it's on television? Well, no, yeah. I think this is one of the most fascinating trials in the history of American law.
No question about it.
And I don't
Phil,
apologize
is this a great
for being
country?
interested in it. It's a great country. I mean,
is it an improving country?
Is it an improving country? With the middle class able to buy less with the money that it earns today, even though it might have had pay raises?
So you see us headed downhill and a worse country today than it was 10 years ago?
We have a public school system declared a security risk by our own government commission. We got the Speaker of the House meeting with the most powerful media mogul in the universe.
Let me give you a statistic.
And saying, I didn't meet, but I did. Oh, yes, I did. He wasn't there.
So he's guilty before proven guilty in his case, right? You've made a vast generality here that he's a guilty man.
Is Clinton guilty?
Of what? I never accused him of anything. I don't have any idea, but I will say this, that if you look at the press stories on Newt Gingrich since he got an offer to make legal money for a book,
right,
and you look at the press stories on Ron Brown in the same time period for 4 scandals, there were 973 stories on Newt Gingrich and 82 stories on Ron Brown, Secretary of Commerce.
Gingrich is more powerful, first of all, than the Secretary of Commerce.
He also isn't, obviously, legal money to the press is much worse than illegal money for Secretary of Commerce.
Well, first of all, Ron Brown is not being left alone. Presumably the wheels will turn. So,
82
in that
stories
sense,
versus 900 stories.
Equal.
Let's face it, the Democrats don't have a big story right now. All they have is the Newt Gingrich book. The Republicans right now are trying to balance the budget, make Congress live under the same laws that American people do. And every day you listen to the liberals on the floor say, Newt Gingrich got a book offer. It was legal money, but we don't like it. Phil, time's up.
Hey,
sorry.
I enjoyed it.
Great, me too.
Yeah. You'll
Please come
invite me back.
Terrific guy, Phil Donahue. We're coming up next.